Hey there, guys. So, in our first quarter of Holocaust class, of course, we talked about a lot, and you all learned that the Jews were the number one target of the Nazis. And because they were trying to build this Aryan race, that pretty much anybody who didn't fit what they felt was the master race, those were the people that they would persecute, that they would even murder. Now, the Jews being the number one group, yes, we talked a lot about that. Part of what I do in the second quarter of my class is we talk about some of the other groups that were targeted by the Nazis. And I normally have a lecture series that talks about some of the different groups. And one of them is the mentally ill and the physically handicapped. Those people didn't fit the mold. They certainly didn't want them to breed to try to get more of them. There is another group, and this was actually the largest group behind the Jews, was the Gypsy, also known as Roma. And those are people that were kind of a nomadic group of people that came from parts of Eastern Europe, and they had physical features that made them look different, dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, many of them. And they were also really treated poorly and had a big thing that happened in Auschwitz. They had a family camp in Auschwitz, and it was completely liquidated, and all of them were murdered. But also for religious reasons, there were a lot of religious people who didn't fit the mold. And one of the groups was the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's pretty fascinating too. And basically, they just would not do the Heil Hitler pledge. They wouldn't do it, the Sieg Heil. And no matter what, they wouldn't. And sometimes they were thrown in camps, and their children were taken away and put in homes to be raised in good, Nazi families. So, and another group was the homosexuals. Obviously, homosexual people were looked down upon because they weren't going to reproduce. They weren't going to make more good Aryan citizens. And it's interesting to note that at least in the world of that time, by homosexual, we mean basically men. I would say that's a 95% men homosexuals. I don't think women homosexuals, lesbians, sounds kind of crazy, but I don't think it was really a thing back then. I think it happened, but it was nothing like it is today. The world was a very different place. But they also were persecuted. They were thrown in camps. They were made to wear pink triangles. And some were even gassed or killed. But what I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to post on Google Classroom. If I can post the link, I'm going to, but if not, I'm going to post exactly what you would need to look up to watch a show on YouTube. And this is a show that I always play in my class. And so you're watching something you would have watched with me anyway. And it's very interesting. It's a 48-minute program, documentary style program about some of that. It will actually cover the mentally ill, the treatment of the mentally ill, the institutionalized, what the Nazis did to them. Many of the first gassing experiments were done on those people. Also, it will take you to the Ravensbrück camp, which was an all-women's camp, where there were many, many experiments done. And many of them were done on eugenics, on fertility, trying to keep women from being able to reproduce. Then they actually go to Auschwitz in this program. They talk about Mengele. You will see some people that you've already met in some of our shows and things that we've watched in the past. And they will talk about the twins. They will actually talk to a bunch of the Mengele twins. They actually don't talk to Eva or her sister, but they talk to some of the others, some of whom might be familiar to you. And so it's a really interesting show. And I'm probably going to have you guys do some writing on it, but I haven't decided exactly what yet. So for today, I'm going to have you watch the show at your leisure. That's kind of the nice thing. You can choose when you have time to watch it. And if you want to watch 15 minutes of it and come back and watch the last 30 minutes of it some other time, you can. That's kind of the one nice thing about e-learning, is that you can kind of do it at your own pace. I do think that you'll find it very interesting though. And then I will probably have our first assignment will probably be over this program that I'm going to have you guys watch. So enjoy. And if you have any questions after you've seen it, you can always email me and I'll be happy to get back with you. Thanks.